What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Free Guy. This film's directed by Shawn Levy. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming in next. If you like these videos, awesome, hit that like button, as well as commenting below on any video that you watch, including this one. So, Free Guy is this video game style movie that is about a character named Guy, who of course is played by Ryan Reynolds. He's what is considered an NPC character. So for anybody who doesn't know about video games, an NPC character is a non-playable character who in essence kind of inhabits the background, inhabits like, quests and stuff like that, and you don't really interact with them, but you may, like if you play Grand Theft Auto, you may like run them over with a car or something like that. So they're not really important, but they fill in the world to make it more realistic in a lot of ways. And so Guy is that NPC character. He wakes up, he gets his coffee, he goes to the bank, he has a friend named who's played by Lil Rat Holly, who of course is a security guard, and in the process, because this movie has an interesting arc to it, he starts to question his reality. He starts to question who he is. He one day picks up a pair of glasses that belongs to a hero who has died, and he finds out that the world that he is inhabiting is much more intuitive and much more complex than he ever realized, as we start seeing the video game nature of this movie. And he also kind of falls for this woman, this hero character that's in the game, who is played by Jodie Comer, who plays Millie, who has a substantial reasoning for why she's in the game. She's also friends with this character named Keys, who's played by Keery from Stranger Things, who works for this company that's run by Taika Waititi's character, Antoine. And basically their storylines start to kind of coming together. There's some like really sadistic stuff going on with Antoine's character and these two other characters, and the story starts to become a much more complex, much more interesting kind of concept of what would happen if NPCs were able to gain AI abilities and start to truly kind of form into humanistic individuals. And so that's like that's in essence a simplified version of this story, because it's really just about what would happen if, a world that is a video game like a World of Warcraft or, Dota or something like that would just become completely self-aware, what would happen with the characters and so on and so forth. And so with that concept and with that story as simplified as I can make it without truly spoiling it, because there's a lot of great stuff in this movie was not what I was considering something I was literally looking forward to. And I'll be fairly honest, it had to do with the concept of Hollywood and video games and video game movies. There hasn't been really, depending on who you talk to, there really hasn't been a really great video game movie. There's been some really great game movies like Clue and Jumanji, but when it comes to video game movies, the only things we keep talking about are Mortal Kombat and its reboot, and maybe Street Fighter and some other things like Resident Evil, but overall it's just been kind of a dead zone of crap. So when they try to kind of take the concept with like Ready Player One, they throw in some Truman Show type elements and stuff like that. It's not a movie I was looking forward to. It's also directed by Shawn Levy, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't really care for his movies, even though he did produce Arrival, and everything just kind of was going against it. But Ryan Reynolds is a safe enough bet for these types of movies, with his humor and his breaking the fourth wall and just how he views the world of just entertainment, that I had at least some inkling that it may be fun. And then the early reviews started coming out, and it proved to be exactly what I thought it was going to be, which is a fun, entertaining, good time at the theater, grab some popcorn, enjoy Ryan Reynolds and his becoming self-aware as a NPC character. The use of the YouTube characters, the YouTube stars in this movie, like Ninja and Pokemon and stuff like that, is annoying as it becomes later as the movie goes along. It makes a lot of sense because it allows the movie and allows Hollywood to be a little bit in the know and a little bit in it with the crowd that is the younger crowd of today. But I think what this movie does best is it at least tries to have a consistent plot, have a consistent world, have a consistent rule to its subset. So everything in this world has a particular purpose, has a particular reason. Yes, it does go over the top. Yes, the concept of this world is a little out there, but that is video games in its nutshell today, where people like Antoine, the Taika Waititi character, are really these types of people who think their crap don't stink, who think they're better than everyone else. And when the things start coming to a head with the Taika Waititi character, it really kind of shows and stuff like that. And then you just have this world that just feels, authentic and real and really fun and entertaining. You watch the programmers and how they interact with the world and how they control the world. And, when everybody starts becoming self-aware in the movie, it really gives like a really cool feeling of just, having people that are just going the day by day, just the boring nature of life, and they're giving something new to do. They're giving, they're finding, it's kind of like Pleasantville, where the characters are just kind of stuck in a particular situation, and when Tobey Maguire's character kind of brings them out of the shell that is the show, they start kind of seeing the world as it is, and that happens in this movie as well. And it also is just because of Ryan Reynolds in the movie. He's really fun and entertaining and just having a good time. He's doing what Ryan Reynolds has been doing ever since Deadpool came out, which has just become, a crazy, weird, over-the-top, silly guy, and it's just a lot of fun to watch. Now, if I can get into anything negative about this movie, and it's not a whole lot because this movie is really enjoyable. It has some really good, funny moments. There's a nice little cameo in this movie that really kind of came out of nowhere. It actually made me forget a little bit about certain things, certain aspects of this movie. And so just to kind of get into a little bit of negative stuff, this movie has a particular problem that a lot of Shawn Levy films have, where they're really entertaining films, but sometimes the script gets lost in translation, where a character will do something that, like, they'll be a certain way throughout the entire film, and then they'll have this like weird jump of logic, weird jump of reasoning, weird jump of character development that puts them into a position that doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, there's almost feels like there were script pages that were cut out of this movie, which is really strange. So they'll be like, for instance, the character will be here, and then all of a sudden they'll just be here 5 seconds later, and how did they get to that point? It doesn't make it for like the worst thing I've ever seen in the world, but when you've seen as many movies as I have seen at this point in my life, you start noticing those types of things. So it really becomes a little, it's nitpicking for a lot of people, but it's really kind of glaring in my aspect of, looking at the film. And it feels like it's just, it needs a little bit of structure work when it comes to the writing. But like I said, it's stuff like that bothers me, but won't bother anybody else, which is perfectly fine. And still doesn't take away from the movie being as enjoyable as it is, and having some really fun moments and some really kind of jabs at certain studios and companies. But otherwise, like I said, everything about this movie is just, it has its moments where it's just fun and entertaining and goofy and over the top and silly. There's points where it really feels like a video game story. There's like a safe house, which feels like something out of like Watch Dogs or Grand Theft Auto, and the whole world just feels alive. It feels interesting. It feels exciting. Ryan Reynolds and Howery work really well together. They have great chemistry. Jodie Comer and Ryan Reynolds have great chemistry. Keery and Jodie Comer have great chemistry. Taika Waititi has his own chemistry as Antoine, and he plays a great villain in this movie. He's actually, as you can see in the trailer, he is not a good character. He's not a good individual because he's the head of a corporation, and there's a lot to say about head of corporations, especially in video game and its current state of affairs. But I think this is what Taika Waititi is known for, is just being a crazy, over-top, silly individual. But with that said, I think it's a movie that really kind of caught me off by surprise, especially with the director and the writers. But outside of, like I said, the structuring of the script itself and some of the music was a little bit whatever, but it's just a movie full of heart. I really enjoyed this movie. So, but anyways, that'll do it. That'll be my take on Free Guy. Thank you so much for watching. Comments below. Are you interested in seeing Free Guy? Are you looking forward to seeing what they do with the video game world? What's your favorite video game? If you like video games, all that good stuff. But anyways, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button and join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like any of these videos, awesome, hit that like button, and as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.